With Trump back in charge, the fight against illegal immigration has reached levels we haven't seen in decades. Across the country, thousands of immigrants are being forced to leave, and for many families, it's a time filled with fear and uncertainty. But which countries are being targeted the most? In this video, we're looking at 10 countries facing deportation in the U.S. under Donald Trump and what effects it will have. Do you think this is the right move for America, or is it a step too far? Watch till the end and don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss out on important topics like this. 10. Cuba. After years of tense relations and changing policies, things have taken a turn with Cuban immigrants. Under Trump's return to office, stricter immigration measures are hitting Cuban communities hard, especially those who arrived recently or don't have permanent legal status. Many Cubans have been living in the U.S. for years, building lives and working regular jobs. Now, families are facing sudden legal pressure, and many are unsure what comes next. As deportation cases rise, families are being separated and small businesses are being left behind. What makes the situation especially difficult is that many Cuban immigrants came to the U.S. to escape economic hardship or political control back home. They saw America as a safe place to start fresh. In many cities like Miami, Cuban Americans are part of everyday life. And now, longtime residents are getting notices or being held in detention centers. The policy shift has surprised many, especially those who believed earlier laws would continue to protect them. These changes are creating fear in once settled communities, and some are even avoiding schools and public places out of concern. It's a moment of deep uncertainty for thousands of Cubans who once thought their future was here to stay. 9. Nigeria. Nigerian immigrants in the U.S. are facing an uncertain and stressful time as deportation numbers continue to grow in 2025. Many Nigerians in the U.S. have come to study or join family members already here. But now, stricter immigration enforcement is putting even longtime residents at risk, even those with clean records and ties to American communities. The recent crackdown is also impacting those who have been living here legally for years, but have run into small paperwork issues, visa overstays, or complications with green card renewals. Many are surprised to find themselves caught up in a system they never thought would turn on them. Some have even been detained during routine check-ins with immigration officials, something they've done for years without trouble. In cities across the U.S., the Nigerian community is deeply involved in healthcare, engineering, and small business. And yet, cases keep climbing, families are scrambling for legal help, and fear is growing as people wonder if they'll be next. What makes this harder is that many people facing deportation don't have anywhere to return to in Nigeria. They've built their lives in America. They've raised kids here, but that hasn't stopped the push to send them back. 8. Colombia. Once considered a lower priority for deportation, Colombian nationals are now being swept up in larger numbers. Many of them came to the U.S. to get away from conflict, violence, or economic instability. They've been working hard, blending into American life, and contributing to their local communities for years. But the current changes in policy are creating fear and confusion, even among those who've lived here peacefully for a long time. One of the big challenges for Colombians is dealing with legal cases. Some have been stuck in limbo for years, waiting for green card approvals, asylum decisions, or visa renewals. Immigration enforcement is moving faster than the legal system can keep up, and that means more people are being detained or deported without much warning. Colombian families are often multi-generational, with grandparents, parents, and children all living under one roof. Deportations are splitting up these households, sometimes leaving U.S.-born children behind. It's a heartbreaking situation for many, and it is not easy for someone who left 10 or 20 years ago to just pick up and return. For them, the U.S. is home, and being forced to leave feels like losing everything they've built. 7. India. Indian nationals might not be the first group that comes to mind when talking about deportation, but they're seeing a major rise in 2025. While many people from India are here on work visas or student programs, the current administration is tightening rules around legal status more than ever before. This means even minor paperwork issues, like a missed deadline or a delayed application, can now trigger serious consequences, including detention or removal. A large number of Indian immigrants work in tech and education. They've helped build some of the very systems Americans rely on every day. And yet, families are finding themselves in trouble over technicalities. People who've lived here for a decade or more who own homes and have U.S.-born kids, are suddenly being told they have to leave. The legal process for Indian immigrants can be long and complicated, especially with green card backlogs that stretch for years. The shift in policy is also hitting students hard. Those whose visas have expired, even by accident or delay, are being targeted without warning. There's growing uncertainty in a community that has long felt secure, and for many, the American dream is starting to feel more fragile than ever. 6. Peru. Peruvian immigrants in the United States are now facing growing deportation numbers. Many Peruvians came here seeking stability, better job opportunities, or simply a chance to live safely. But today, even those who've built quiet, steady lives over many years are finding themselves in legal danger. A large number of Peruvians came during periods of political instability or economic crisis back home. They worked hard, sent money back to family, and raised their kids in American schools. Now, the rules are changing, and it's affecting those who thought they were safe. In states like New Jersey and California, Peruvian communities are tight-knit, but now many are living in fear, avoiding public services, skipping appointments, and staying off the radar. It's a sudden shift for people who were once told they had a path to stay. One of the hardest parts is the uncertainty. Many families don't know what's next, whether they'll be able to fight their case, or whether they'll be forced to leave everything behind. Some have lived here for over 20 years. For them, Peru isn't home anymore. America is, and leaving now would mean starting over in a place they no longer know. 5. Venezuela. Venezuela has been in chaos for years, with political and economic crises forcing millions to flee the country. Many of those who came to the U.S. were hoping to find a safer, more stable life for themselves and their families. With stricter immigration policies under Trump's administration, Venezuelans are now facing of deportation. What makes this situation even more challenging is that the current political instability in Venezuela means it's not easy for deportees to return home and rebuild their lives. The country is still suffering from severe shortages of food, medicine, and basic services. For many Venezuelans, being sent back isn't just a return to their homeland, it's a return to danger, hardship, and uncertainty. Venezuelans have built strong communities in cities like Miami, New York, and Houston, with many working in healthcare, engineering, and the service industry. As cases rise, families are being torn apart. Children who were born in the U.S. and have never seen Venezuela are left wondering what their future holds. Venezuelan immigrants are trying to navigate the legal system as best as they can, but the uncertainty is making it hard for them. They came to America seeking refuge, but now they face the possibility of losing everything. 4. Ecuador. For many Ecuadorians living in the U.S., the threat of deportation in 2025 feels like a cruel twist after years of hard work and quiet perseverance. Unlike some groups that arrived in large waves, Ecuadorian immigrants often came in smaller numbers, one family at a time, settling into communities and slowly building lives through patience, sacrifice, and faith in the American dream. What makes this situation different is that many Ecuadorians have deep roots here, but not much legal protection. A lot of them arrived legally, often with temporary visas, and simply stayed. They didn't come fleeing war or immediate danger, but rather grinding poverty and limited opportunity back home. They don't make headlines, but they're essential to local economies. Deportation doesn't just mean being forced to leave. It means losing years of investment, community, and stability. It's especially painful for the many who've sent money home for years, supporting parents and children in Ecuador through remittances. Even for those who have never broken a single law, the fear is constant. One missed paperwork deadline, one traffic stop, one change in policy, and everything they've built could disappear overnight. And for families already living on edge, that's a heavy burden to carry. 3. Mexico. Mexico has always been one of the top countries impacted by U.S. immigration policy, and 2025 is no different. In fact, under Trump's administration, the number of Mexican nationals facing deportation has skyrocketed. Many Mexicans who came to the U.S. to escape violence, poverty, or political instability are now facing the harsh reality of being sent back. The reality is that many Mexican immigrants have lived in the U.S. for decades, and their children are often U.S. citizens. These families have built lives here, sent children to school, worked in local communities, and contributed to the economy. Now, they are caught in a legal and political system that threatens to tear their families apart. What makes the situation more complicated is that, for many, returning to Mexico is not a simple option. Many areas are still plagued by crime, corruption, and lack of opportunity. Families that fled to the U.S. seeking safety are now faced with the possibility of returning to the very dangers they escaped. This has created deep uncertainty in Mexican immigrant communities across the U.S. Deportation cases are often long and drawn out, leaving families in fear. The American dream, which they worked so hard to achieve, is now slipping out of reach for many. 2. Honduras. Honduras is another country where its people are seeing an increasing number of deportations from the U.S. As enforcement efforts ramp up, even those who have been living here for years are facing the threat of being sent back to a country that remains unstable. Honduras has long struggled with high levels of violence, especially from organized crime and gangs. For many immigrants, leaving their country wasn't just a choice, it was a matter of survival. The U.S. offered them a new beginning, but now, that sense of security is being threatened. Many Honduran immigrants who thought they had found a home in the U.S. are now being forced to confront the reality that they might have to go back to a country where the risks are still high. In cities like Los Angeles, Houston, and Miami, Honduran communities are integral to local economies, especially in industries like construction and agriculture. Deportations not only disrupt families but can also hurt local businesses that depend on immigrant labor. For children born in the U.S., the possibility of being taken away from the only country they've ever known is a devastating reality. The emotional and financial toll on these families is immense as they navigate a system that seems stacked against them. 1. Guatemala. Thousands of Guatemalans have sought refuge in the U.S. over the years, fleeing violence and corruption in their home country. One of the major challenges for Guatemalan immigrants is the ongoing violence in their home country. For many, coming to the U.S. was a desperate attempt to escape gangs and drug violence. Returning to Guatemala is not only a difficult decision, it's a dangerous one. Yet many of those facing deportation are finding themselves in an impossible situation, torn between their lives in the U.S. and the threat of returning to a country in crisis. In states like California, Texas, and New York, Guatemalan immigrants are a vital part of the workforce, especially in agriculture and construction. Deporting these workers isn't just an issue for the families involved. It affects entire industries that depend on immigrant labor. The impact of mass deportations is widespread, leaving communities scrambling to adjust. Many Guatemalan families are unsure of their future in the U.S., and the possibility of being sent back to Guatemala is something that weighs heavily on the minds of those who've made a life in America.